So Zoro's lineage was revealed, and I feel like the fact that Oda revealed it in an SBS kind of tells everyone in the audience watching and reading One Piece that his lineage is likely not going to be anything overly relevant to the story. I feel like that's really disappointing because there's so much hype over the Ryuma stuff, and just being in Wano, you would think there'd be a lot more connection there to Zoro and the samurai. There's a lot of ways that Oda could have wrote it that it was a lot smaller of a story in Wano, at least in the earlier acts, and keep it more Zoro focused. Now, there were some great scenes with Zoro for sure, 100%, but it kind of felt like at the end of Wano, like it really didn't go anywhere. I'll show his lineage on the screen. I don't think any of these characters will ever be relevant. I don't even think we'll get a flashback of them. I think it would be really cool if there was some sort of addition in the final saga, but I feel like looking at it and just the way that it was revealed, and like you would honestly have to be a pretty hardcore One Piece fan. Well, one, if you're here, you're probably a hardcore One Piece fan, so you've probably already seen this. There's been so many videos posted on it already, but also, like, the common fan that just watches the anime or just casually reads the manga when it comes out and not spoilers or anything, honestly, probably has no idea this is out, probably is going to have no idea about his lineage, and is honestly sitting there wondering, like, what happened in Wano, because it was such a big setup that any fan in anticipation of the arc was expecting, oh, a whole cake of Sanji's arc, Wano will be Zoro's arc, myself included. I mean, I think everyone thought it just makes sense. It was almost like a nail in the head, and it was just like, nah, like, we're not gonna do the most obvious thing. And when you look at Wano, you're like, okay, why am I gonna get all of these episodes on Big Mom Amnesia? And just honestly, like, I know One Piece technically doesn't have a lot of filler, but there's just a lot of filler in every arc of One Piece. It just is what it is, right? It's not a negative. It's just what the show is. It has. It's just part of its identity is a lot of things are dragged out. And it's like, wow, you make some parts more concise and you can have room for a setup like this where you can get into Zoro's backstory. And I believe visiting Ryuma's grave was off screen. I'm pretty sure. Someone can verify in the comments. I'm not positive on that, or it was really small, and it's just really disappointing that one of the core characters of the story that has a lot of depth, like nothing happened, is honestly in a lot of people's top 3 moments of Shonen, of One Piece, of anything. It was just sick, right? And the moment where Zoro gets hard on Luffy about getting Usopp back in the crew. These are sick moments for a dope character, and it's like, why does Kunya, the smoker's assistant, the name is escaping me, as names always will escape me because there's so many goddamn names of characters, and the arcs are so far from each other, dude. It is so easy to forget, but I'll show on screen. I think everyone knows who I'm talking about. Why does she look exactly like the person from Zoro's past? It's just like, there's so many mysteries about this character who is very simple in personality and in nature. And instead, we get a couple of Zoro lost moments every now and then, like some joking moments, some him getting drunk moments. Like, all of it is fun and good, but it feels like an opportunity to add some lore to the character, right? Because Zoro has depth, right, in his personality of his simplified characteristics. Even though they're pretty basic, there's depth there because of the extremes he will go to protect his crew, protect his captain, protect his friends. But to add some lore to him, it would just make it seem like, oh, he's not just a super dope character, but he has a lineage that we can really get behind, and it makes sense as to like why he has such skill with the sword, why he was at the sword village, and everything like that. It would just make the Zoro himself seem like a more real character and more relatable, right? Because Sanji, when you get the stuff with his family, even though they're robots or whatever, you can relate to what happened to Sanji. It's as simple as being in a family. Whereas Zoro is more of a stray away in that sense that he doesn't know his family, or at least from our perspective, he doesn't know. And it would just be a really epic moment because you get the big three of Luffy, Sanji, and Zoro, but then it's kind of like you know everything about Luffy, you know a lot about Sanji, and Zoro is kind of just there and used in an almost abusive way. Like they do him so dirty in some moments, and a lot of the time, like you can tell Zoro is supposed to be a super strong character, and a lot of the time his fights are kind of rough. Like they're not. He doesn't get a lot of moments to shine, but he's just so sick. It's okay. His fight with King, I don't know if the anime has got to it yet. I know in the manga it was a little underwhelming, to be honest. Mainly on the King side of things. The King at Hell, that was really sick. But in Dressrosa, his fight with the Rock Pika, that, oh, like, dude, like, I know his voice was all high pitched or whatever, but, like, dude, come on. That was not that dope. He had some sick moments in Annie's lobby with the giraffe. That was dope, but come on, dude. Like, it's just like, it's Wano. It's just like, I know he's sick. I know One Piece is written in an excellent way, but it's just like, how can you drop that opportunity of just giving us a backstory? Like I said, we have Big Mom amnesia, but we don't have Zoro backstory. Like how in the storyboarding was that like, yeah, let's make time for this, but not time for this. And it's just also like the latter parts of the act where you just have a bunch of fodder characters fighting other fodder characters, like the samurai fighting Kaido's army. It's just like a lot of bloat, and I understand it gets us to a satisfying end, but in moments like that, after the arc, you look back and you don't even really process a lot of the stuff going on in some of the scenes, but you do think about the fact that what you miss in Zoro's backstory, and it's super disappointing and upsetting. And I hope some way it can be made relevant. I just don't think that you're gonna add something to an SBS that, yes, it is canon and it is true, but I just don't think you're gonna use that in a way that really has an impact on the story. And it's sidelining what would have been an epic moment for an epic character, and honestly historic character to the history of Shonen and the history of television. Honestly, One Piece is the most watched show of last year, and I'm pretty sure I would not be surprised if Zoro is a lot of people's favorite character. Maybe they walk back and I'm just being overdramatic. I hope I am being overdramatic, and I hope they do that. I always say they, but Oda is they. I hope he can clutch up in the final saga and write a dope backstory out of nowhere, and it'll all make sense, because there is some missing pieces on that lineage. So maybe Oda got something cooking, but let me know what you think down below. What are your predictions for the next chapter, for the future of the saga? And just, do you think Oda could have done Zoro a little bit better in Wano? Or were you like, yeah, nah, I love this Big Mom amnesia?